I'm going to talk about an alternative method to game design that started from illustration and then how it helps. All of this research was done for my master's degree, and yeah. So, if most game design methods emphasize on starting with the mechanics of the game and progressing from there, and leaving the visual aspect for the end, what happens if we define the rules and start from the end? This might be seen a bit as a controversial aspect because it's time spent on art is time spent away from the prototype, and if you are going to the traditional publishing route, you are more likely than not have to scrap all the art because the publisher wants to hire their own artist. But even if that's the case, incorporating the illustration can still be beneficial, since it can help with coming up with new ideas for the mechanics, how the game might look, and either way it can help you to create a more cohesive game. And since no one would listen to someone that didn't publish a game the traditional way, so the next logical step is talking with designers that have published games like that. And we didn't want to occupy a lot of time of their day, so we just decided to ask 6 questions. I have here the questionnaire, but rapidly it's just about what's their design method, how they incorporate illustration, the validity of using it if the designer is not the illustrator as well, and how they feel about AI to generate images. Some of the designers that we asked was Ryan Laukat, Jamie Stegmaier, and Manny Beckett. This is the rest of the questionnaire. And as for main findings, I forgot to put here a cute animation, but it's in fact possible to start the design from the illustration. Like I mentioned, like Sight from Jamie Stegmaier, Sleeping Gods, and even Flamecraft. It started as an engine builder as well, but it was supposed to be it was supposed to be a ship, but then the designers saw the illustrations of Sandara Tang, and it's the cute game we know now. And it's also worth mentioning that the designer and illustrator don't need to be the same person. For example, there are 2 cases that Sight and Flamecraft, the illustration is different, and it was done collaboratively with the designer. In the case of Sleeping Gods, the designer and illustrator is the exact same person. The illustration in the end ends up functioning as an anchor, meaning that it helps grounding the theme, and it helps grounding the theme and creating other elements that, like the narrative and mechanic elements. Although it can be a collaboration with artists, if there isn't a possibility to hire, or you just cannot get the artist to get along with you, there are other tools that can be used, but some of the designers mentioned that they wouldn't touch AI as long as it relies on stealing work from the artist to properly function. That also comes a bit in theme with all of the Miyazaki things going around. And okay, going back on track, starting from the illustration also allows the designer to envision how the game would look at the end on the final stage, because you can create a sketch and see, okay, I would like this game to look like this, and if you start envisioning how the game would look, you have an idea of the components, and those can help trigger more ideas for the mechanics or the narrative and all. And one of the main things is that it's necessary to know where to focus, and have a level of emotional attachment of both the art and the design, since the design and art are two elements that move at vastly different speeds. the design is more volatile. It's always changing with iteration until a later stage. And if you are producing art at the same time, it can be very frustrating for the artist if you are hiring one, or it can become really expensive. But even if the designer and the illustrator are the same person, it can become, okay, I already invested way too much time on this. I want this to be part of the game, but it's hurting the game. It's not adding anything. It's just making it more confusing. And it's a skill that needs to be done to know when to cut. Either ways, with all of this gathered information, it's possible to create a method, an alternative, where you get the illustration. I have here slides explaining this better, but basically, you get the illustration. It can be a drawing, a work of art, anything that can help you to create, to tell you what the game gives you, what it can possibly add to the game. That's when you start to dissect, and then you do a quick sketch of what it could look like, and then you create a prototype, and then you start on the loop of iteration, playtesting, until you feel it, until it starts to feel ready to be polished, or writing the rules more perfectly, until it's to release. This is basically what I was saying. I'm getting way ahead of me, but that's fine. Either way, since it wasn't enough to do all the research and being an overachiever, I created 2 games following this method: Hydra's Voyage and Stitch the Stars. One was for my master's dissertation, and the other was to cope with the overwhelming sensation of writing a dissertation. Both of them started from the illustration, one from the traditional sense and other from not so traditional. I will show you some. So this is the illustration that I did for the Hydra's Voyage. It's a game where you are aboard on a small boat. It's set on a reality where the water level has risen. You use celestial objects to navigate. It has resource management. And having a change of landscape, it helped to create a game that's all based on this. So the narrative started to form easily, and a lot of design decisions were fundamented on this, because it helped, in the end, it created something more cohesive. For example, okay, you are aboard of a small boat, you know what's going on around you. But since the landscape has changed, you have dangers and you are traveling on uncharted waters. Anyways, it's a driven play game. This is it. There is the sky cards. It looks complicated. It's simple. And the other game that I was talking about, the Stitch the Stars, you take the role of a young astronomer that doesn't know the constellations, but has been tasked with creating celestial charts. So this was the first iteration of the sky cards, those transparent in the bottom. So this is how it started. I stared for it one too many hours, and a game started to emerge. One where you could connect the dots to create constellations, both real or invented by the players. It was necessary for this to function as a game. It would need to have more space for the constellations to appear and remove all the clutter. And this originated a game where you work on your fine motor skills that has 3 variants: pen and paper, yarn and needle, and one that you just are embroidering. And reaching the end. Pros and cons very quickly. Starting from the illustrations helped in the creation of the game with the more cohesion between all the elements, so narrative, gameplay, all of those stuff. It's easier to immerse the players in the game world, since you already have to be immersed on it to create the game, and the illustration serves as an anchor. As for cons, it is expensive to hire an artist, and design and illustration are 2 vastly different skills, as we mentioned before, and it's easy to become attached to small details that are actually hurting the game. And with this, thank you! the games that I mentioned, they are for free. If you want to try them, please, I'm here until Sunday and I have the games with me, so feel free to reach out. And that's it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.